There was a time when Pawn Stars was the top reality TV show.
This is a rock.
How much do you want for it?
I want $900 trillion for it.
It was the perfect mix of history, some quirky deals, and the funny, sometimes messy, but lovable relationship of the Harrison family.
When Corey gets back, I want you to kick his ass. Chumley, go clean the bathrooms up.
But now, something major changed, and its fans hate it now. Pawn Stars has gone from being an interesting look at rare artifacts and clever bargaining to just another infomercial with scripted drama, cheesy catchphrases, and the same old predictable formula over and over again. This show has been involved in some serious crimes like drugs and sexual abuse. So how did the once popular Pawn Stars fall into its current state of chaos, and what can be done to rescue it from total ruin?
What do you got?
So, I don't really know too much about these. I was hoping you can tell me a little more.
I'm thinking that these went on dog collars.
To understand Pawn Stars' downfall, we've got to go back.
In the beginning.
At its core, Pawn Stars wasn't just a show about buying and selling, it was also about history, negotiation, and human nature. It used to focus on real people walking into a shop, hoping to turn their old items into cash and getting a mini history lesson in the process.
I believe this is a book on alchemy.
What is alchemy?
Alchemy is the art of transmutating metals. They figured if they combine the right ingredients, mercury and some sulfur and a little lead, if you come up with a secret to that, you can live forever and make gold.
In the early seasons, the show thrived on genuine surprise. Customers would stroll in with all kinds of random items, some valuable, some totally useless, and others so strange that even the pawn shop workers had no idea what they were dealing with. That sense of unpredictability kept viewers on the edge of their seats. One of the biggest reasons why Pawn Stars felt so engaging in its early years was because of the realistic negotiations.
So what's your best price on it, man?
Well, if it's worth about $3,000, say $2,800.
No, because I don't make no money that way. I'll tell you what, I'll give you $2,000 for it, though.
You heard what the experts said about how great it sounds.
Because if it didn't sound great, it'd be less.
Well, how about $2,500?
No, I'll go $2,100. You have to. I got a business here to run.
Can you do a little more? $2,200?
I'll give you $2,200.
Great.
When an item came in that required more knowledge, Rick would call in professionals like Mark Hall Patton for historical artifacts, Rebecca Romney for rare books, and Steve Grad for autographs. These experts weren't just thrown in for the sake of appearances. They provided real, detailed insights that actually educated the audience. It was revolutionary, blending humor, real-life marketing, negotiation, and unexpected twists. Until something completely changed. What started as a seemingly authentic look inside a real pawn shop has now turned into one of the most scripted, overproduced reality TV disasters of all time. The charm is gone, the suspense is non-existent, and every episode feels like a predictable rehash of the same tried and true formula. In the early seasons, the unpredictability of the items made every single episode exciting. You never knew what was going to walk through the door. Suddenly, every episode had a conveniently perfect item, handpicked by producers to ensure that Rick could deliver yet another flawless history lesson. And that's where things got suspicious. Rick Harrison somehow knows the exact historical background of every single item that enters the store.
This is when they first came out, and what happened was they ended up becoming one of the greatest, most iconic rock bands in the history of music.
The show's negotiations also became glaringly scripted. In real life, haggling is a messy process. People argue, they lowball, they hesitate, and sometimes even storm out. But in later seasons, every deal follows the same robotic format. A customer walks in, confidently asking for an absurdly high price as if they've already checked eBay and decided their item is worth a small fortune. Rick, playing his usual part, lets out a big sigh and makes a really low offer, starting the same old back and forth every time. And then one of two things happens. Either the customer gives in, acting like they've got no choice, or they put on a big show of frustration. They storm out and they, throw a tantrum in a parking lot, and they throw in a parting shot about how Rick is just ripping them off. This is not how real pawn shop deals go down. The death of the old man in 2018 marked a major turning point for Pawn Stars. His straightforward, sarcastic style was a big part of what made the show so appealing, bringing both humor and some good old-fashioned wisdom. After his passing, though, the humor shifted from organic, dry wit to forced jokes that fell flat. Chumlee became this exaggerated buffoon, and Rick's humor turned into awkward dad jokes. The show began feeling like a reality sitcom rather than a documentary about a pawn shop. While Pawn Stars presents itself as a family-friendly show, the off-screen lives of its cast members tell a much darker story. Chumlee, one of the show's most recognizable faces, was arrested in 2016 after a police raid on his home uncovered meth, weed, and multiple unregistered firearms. Although he did avoid some major jail time, the scandal left a pretty nasty stain on the show's reputation. These off-screen controversies contrast sharply with the clean-cut, family business image that Pawn Stars tries to portray. It's just yet another example of how the reality behind the show is far messier than what's presented on screen. Even though Pawn Stars has slowly been turning into a shadow of its former self, they wanted to take their last shot for the remontada. Even in some incidents, we saw people were willing to sell their items for ridiculously low prices just to ensure their episode made it to air. While some fans enjoy the personal dramatics and dynamics, other people feel like it detracts way too much from the show's original premise. The increased focus on family drama has diverted it from its own exhibition in existence. But as we talked about earlier, Chumlee's involvement in drugs and Corey getting arrested didn't just degrade his reputation. It affected all of the cast members so badly at one point where a comeback was almost impossible. Instead of learning history, we get polished trivia tailored to the episode's products. Rick has turned the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop into more of a place for promoting brands than an actual pawn shop.
When it comes to making great deals at the pawn shop, I rely on my experts' advice. When it comes to creating the best experience for my customers, Mobile Pawn is my go-to expert.
Pawn Stars, which was once a beloved show about negotiation and history, slowly became a manufactured, overly scripted mess that insulted the intelligence of its audience. And as the show changed, so did the fans' perception of its cast. The same people who were once seen as fun, relatable, and knowledgeable became frustrating, unlikable, and in some cases, outright despised. Some also labeled it as the Las Vegas tourist trap, where you're more likely to buy a Pawn Stars t-shirt than strike a real pawn deal. So basically, Pawn Stars should get rid of the fake drama and items and go back to being the show people loved it for. You know, for the history and mystery and discovery. And that's how a well-rated TV show eventually turned into a mess. The show that once had the love and support of everybody ended up collecting hatred in the end. So what do you think about Pawn Stars? What do you think they should have done differently? Or are you one of the few people who actually like the new seasons? Let me know in the comments section down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next video.